He had $106 in his pocket. His car had blown up. He was sleeping in a bus station, dodging police at night. He had already sold his wedding ring. He had sold his wife's jewelry. And then, in the most desperate moment of his life, he sold his dog. The only friend he had left in the world. For $40. And then, he sat down. And he wrote a script. In 3.5 days, they offered him $360,000 for it. He said no. This is the story of the man who chose everything, when he had nothing. A charity hospital ward. A doctor uses forceps. A nerve is cut. A baby is born with a permanently drooping face and slurred speech. His name is Sylvester Stallone. The doctors don't know if the nerve damage is permanent. His mother barely survives. His father is a hairdresser who can barely pay rent. This child enters the world at a disadvantage, and the world will never let him forget it. His parents fought constantly, loud, violent, unstable. Young Sylvester and his brother Frank were caught in the middle. He was put into foster care at age 5. Then pulled back. Then bounced between homes again. He struggled in school. His slurred speech made teachers write him off. He was told he wasn't smart. He was told he would never amount to anything. He was expelled from 13 different schools. His father was physically abusive. He once said his father never told him he loved him, not once. Not once in his entire childhood. He moved to Philadelphia after his parents divorced. He attended a school for troubled youth. But there was one thing they couldn't take from him, a feeling buried deep inside that he was meant for something more. At 24, he moves to New York City with nothing but dreams. He rents a $36 a week hotel room. He auditions and gets rejected. Rejected for looking funny. Rejected for talking funny. He is told his face doesn't work for the camera. He is told his voice is wrong. To survive, he cleans lion cages at the Central Park Zoo, sells fish at a deli, works as an usher in a theater, watching other people's films night after night. He sleeps in a bus station for 4 consecutive nights, keeping his notebooks in a 25-cent locker. Then, in absolute desperation, he takes a role in a low-budget adult film not for art, but because it pays $100 a day, and he is starving. Every night in that bus station, he wrote. Because words were the only thing he owned. He has a dog, a massive bull mastiff named Butkus, his only companion, the only living thing that looks at him without pity or judgment. He gets to his last $106. His $40 car breaks down. He can't afford to feed himself, let alone the dog. He goes outside a 7-Eleven and sells Butkus to a stranger for $40. He walks home without his dog. He said later, "I cried all the way home." He steals his wife's jewelry to sell for food. He is at the bottom of the bottom. But 14 days later, everything changed. And the first thing he did with his first dollar was get that dog back. March 1975. He watches a boxing match on television, Muhammad Ali versus Chuck Wepner. Ali is the greatest. Wepner is a nobody. A club fighter who has no business being in that ring. But Wepner won't fall down. He keeps getting up. He keeps swinging. And something inside Sylvester Stallone breaks open. He sees himself in that ring. He goes home. He doesn't sleep. For 3.5 days straight, he writes. 90 pages. A story about a broken-down fighter from Philadelphia who gets one impossible shot. He calls it Rocky. He finishes it weeping. The studios loved the script. They just had one problem with it, him. He sends the script to every studio in Hollywood. They all want it. They offer him $25,000. He says no, not unless he plays Rocky. They say he looks wrong, talks wrong, isn't a star. They offer $125,000. He walks. They offer $360,000, the equivalent of $2.1 million today. He is broke. He sold his dog. And he says no. Finally, United Artists agrees. But with a brutal condition, the budget is capped at just $1 million. With no money for a trained animal, they use Stallone's own dog. He goes back to the man who bought Butkus. The man won't sell him back. He asks for $15,000. Stallone pays it and gives him a small role in the film too. Rocky was filmed in 28 days, on a shoestring, with a nobody, and it became the highest-grossing film of 1976. Rocky opens November 21st, 1976. Critics are split. Then, the audiences come. It becomes the #1 film in America. It earns over $225 million worldwide on a $1 million budget. It receives 10 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture and Best Actor. The boy nobody wanted. The man who slept in a bus station, the actor who talked wrong and looked wrong, stands on stage at the Oscars. He is only the third person in history to be nominated for both Best Actor and Best Screenplay in the same year. The others? Orson Welles, Charlie Chaplin. His name is now in the same sentence as theirs, but the real story isn't the victory. It's what he sacrificed to get there, and what it cost him. He would go on to lose his son Sage at 36. He would face bankruptcy and bad investments. He would watch his fame rise and fall and rise again. But through it all, he said one thing consistently. Every time I've been knocked down in life, I got back up not because I'm tough, but because I refused to believe that where I started was where I was supposed to stay. His facial paralysis, his slurred speech, his broken childhood, he turned every wound into a weapon. And the lesson he lived? The only person who can truly cage you is yourself. Sylvester Stallone didn't become Rocky. Rocky was always inside him, waiting for the moment when there was nothing left to lose and nothing left to fear. The real question this story asks isn't what would you do with $360,000. It's, what would you refuse to give up for $360,000? Because that answer right there is who you actually are.